All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Steve Fink. I'm an Assistant Athletic Director here at the University of South Carolina, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to today's press conference as we celebrate Columbia, the University of South Carolina, and Colonial Life Arena as the host site for the first and second rounds of the 2019 NCAA Division I Men's Basketball Championship. If I can paraphrase our former Governor Nikki Haley, I think you'd all agree it's a great day in Columbia, South Carolina. Today we will hear from each of the five distinguished gentlemen seated up front here. After each has had an opportunity to share his thoughts on today's historic news, we'll open up for questions. Then following the formal press conference, we'll have opportunity for some one-on-ones, some smaller gaggles with the media. So without further ado, first up is Mayor Steve Benjamin.
What an exciting day in Columbia, South Carolina. We are indeed the new southern hotspot and also the home of college basketball. What a way to cap off the most fantastic year in the basketball history of the state's flagship university. We, as you know, as a city, are joined at the hip of the University of South Carolina. Since 1801, this university has served as a faithful index to the ambitions and fortunes of this state and served as the heart of the city of Columbia. Everything we do in concert, we do working together, and to see the collective efforts of the city, our county, our friends from across the river, in Lexington as well, the University of South Carolina, the most fantastic marketing team that a Convention and Visitors Bureau could possibly have, the great work being done here at one of the top arenas in the entire country, the Colonial Life Arena, to be supported by two fantastic men and women basketball teams that I believe help push this effort that we've all been working on for the last several years. They have given this city what we believe to be the credibility that we deserve. We have aspired for several years to be the most talented, educated, and entrepreneurial city in America. In order to be that, you've got to create an environment, Ron, create an environment where people love visiting you, where people want to live, work, play, and prosper. And collectively, we've been able to make that happen. So we're excited to be here. We're going to be excited to show the world what we have to offer in just a couple of years. May God bless you. May God keep you. And here's a health, Carolina.
Thank you, Mayor. Next up is the University of South Carolina President, Dr. Harris Bastides.
Well, the road to the Final Four passes through Columbia, beginning in 2019, and we hope for a long time to come thereafter. Everybody's known we've been a great basketball town. We have a great basketball tradition. You know, that coach whose initials are FM, Frank McGuire and Frank Martin, both, and other great people along the way, including Eddie Fogler and Dave Odom and Eddie Fogler and Darren Horn. Okay, so we stand on the shoulders of people who came before us, but we got a great one right now. Let me tell you, you're going to ask me a question right away. Where's your garnet jacket? It's at the dry cleaners. Because I wore it for every single game. I started in those early round games in Greenville, actually in Columbia, when the women knocked off, I think, UNC Asheville, and then played that tough game against Arizona State. I went right to Greenville and saw the men knock off Marquette and finally Duke. And I can tell you that game was amazing. I almost didn't want to expect any more, but I looked at the coaches and the players in the locker room, and I was going to say something crazy like, if you never win another game, don't worry about it. And I said, wait a second, that'd be the wrong thing to say, because the look in those coaches and players' eyes said, we're going a lot farther. And then the men in New York City, in my hometown, how exciting in that round to see them take on Baylor, and then to beat Florida to get to the Final Four. The women, of course, sent far away to Stockton as they beat Quinnipiac, and I know the coach didn't want to score 100 points. I know she was out there saying, don't do it, don't do it, but they almost had to do it. And then, of course, a tough game against Florida State. The rest, of course, is history in Phoenix and Dallas. But I am so happy for our fans and for our students in particular, who will now look forward with certainty to seeing early round games. Let me tell you, I think the early round games are the best games in March Madness. By the way, March Madness second only to the Super Bowl in viewer attendance around the world. And the early games are great because you've got a Cinderella playing a Goliath, and we know what can happen. Problem is now we're Goliath. And it's a little more fun maybe being the Cinderella team, but how exciting it will be. I want to thank our coaches, of course, for being open to this possibility relative to their needing to be sent away when they make the early round games, but that's okay because we are about Columbia. Columbia is about the university. So welcome to the Final Four, everybody. It's not till 2019, but I can already feel the palpable enthusiasm. Go Columbia, go Gamecocks. Thank you.
Next is South Carolina Athletics Director Ray Tanner.
Thank you, Steve. I want to begin by thanking the NCAA Men's Basketball Oversight Committee for choosing the University of South Carolina, the City of Columbia, and Colonial Life Arena to host in 2019. We've been anticipating this for quite a while, and we've all collaborated and worked together, and it is a celebration that we'll have right here with the passion that we have with our basketball programs. And I want to, share with you for just a moment, as Coach Martin's team was playing in Greenville, and they hosted, and Chris Stone, who's the president and CEO of Visit Greenville, and Mike Buddy, my counterpart at Furman, who hosted. As I watched what happened and what transpired there, I sat in the middle between Coach K and Coach Martin, and I'm thinking, we can do this in Columbia. So we're excited that we're going to have an opportunity to host the teams that are trying to get to the Final Four. And in closing, I think it's worth noting that when those 8 teams come in here to play, that they'll be playing under 2 banners that say Final Four, and they'll be playing under 1 banner that says National Champion. So we're excited to be able to host this event, and I know that you are as well. So thank you very much.
Next up, right off his Final Four appearance, head basketball coach Frank Martin.
Obviously, I'm not involved in making this happen other than trying to elevate our program so it's becoming relevant across the country, which continues to make a day like today that much more powerful. Because truth be told, if we're playing, whether we host it or not, we wouldn't be here based on the way the rules are. So being able to host an event like this, for me, it's a twofold thing. First, hats off to everyone that's been from Dr. Pastides to Steve, to Ron, to people who have worked so hard to make this happen. Because this is what I do understand. Our community is going to benefit tremendously by having an event like this in town. And here's the beautiful part, something that I learned 5 years ago. When you're not from here, you only know what you hear. When people from around the country actually come in here, see what an unbelievable city and what beautiful people we have in this community and this beautiful campus that we get to show off for everyone to see, it's a win-win for everybody. And it's awesome. It's another step in continuing to build basketball in our community, in our state, in the region of our country. This only makes it better for all of us. I'm short, I'm sweet, but they did all the work, so hats off to them. Thank you.
Our final speaker is Columbia Regional Sports Council Executive Director Scott Powers.
Last thing that Coach Tanner says is don't be long. I'm keeping y'all here all day. I'm going to stand here and smile for 20 minutes and dare anybody to leave. To say I'm excited is, I have been here for 12 and a half years. I took this job 12 and a half years ago knowing that it was not a possibility for us to host NCAA championships. I didn't think it was going to take 12 years for it to happen. But I knew at some point that we would be able to, and that Columbia was growing and becoming that sports destination, not just for Gamecocks. And really, the Gamecocks have done a great job of putting Columbia on the map. Coach Martin, I want to correct him, he said he didn't have anything to do with it. I was at a conference in Sacramento, California, when the men's team and the women's team were playing. And everywhere I walked around with my Columbia SC shirt on, all they wanted to do was talk about Gamecock basketball. So that's something that it matters. I mean, I think putting us in position, the success of the men's and women's basketball teams only furthers the success and what we do in marketing in the Columbia region. People see us as that destination where champions are made. And I think we can do that on other levels, on the grassroots level, obviously on NCAA championship level. But we're so excited to host this 2019 men's first and second round. It's unbelievable. There's a lot of people, you think these things just happen. And there's been a lot of people that helped us. Obviously, Coach Tanner, Charles Bloom, Sid Kenyon, their staff with USC Athletics has done a fantastic job. I want to give them a hand. They've been unbelievable. Ron Morris, I'd like to say thank you to Ron. Fantastic job that he did as well. And for our organization, this is why we're here. I run the sports department side of it, but Tourism Generation is why we're here. Hosting big-time events, meetings, conventions is why we're here. It's why we need the hotels. It's why we need the convention center expanded. Yeah, I'm plugging as we go. But it's, thank you, Mr. Hardy. Our board of directors have been unbelievably supportive. Bill Ellen, our president, CEO, our entire staff, from Grayson to Jarrett, with what used to be the Sports Council, have done a fantastic job with what people don't think of as a destination. We used to get why would anybody come to Columbia? What's there to do in Columbia? I don't think anybody's asking that question anymore. I think we've more than proven ourselves to be fantastic hosts, to be great stewards with public funding through our partners with the City of Columbia, Richland County, and Lexington County. We take that very seriously with what we do marketing the region. So it took a big team to be able to pull this off, and this is just another beginning for us as we kick off what we're going to do here in Columbia over the next several years. Thank you.
With that, we'll open it up for questions. We do have microphones on either side, so if you raise your hand, we'll get a microphone to you for questions for any of the five speakers. David with the first question.
Scott, if you could you estimate the economic impact that this could have on the city?
I always hate to do an estimate because it varies all over the country. But right now, we plugged in our numbers into our economic impact calculator, and we've come up with about $10.5, $10.6 million of overall economic impact. You're talking over possibility of over 10,000 hotel room nights being generated. So I think that right now, could that go down? I think a lot of that's going to depend on what 8 teams we get. I think Greenville, for a little bit, as much as they loved having South Carolina there, that probably cut back their number of hotel room nights that they generated up there.
Other questions? David?
Coach Tanner, what would the plan be for the women's team if they were to earn the right to host in 2019?
Our plans will be to submit a waiver to be able to host outside of the 50-mile radius. So those conversations and those plans will be underway. Keep in mind that it's a merit-based with the women, so there's no guarantees. So as a former coach, I'd never want to get out too far on that. But should we be in a position, we will do everything we can to host at another locale.
You know, if I may, I forgot to say something, and I want to thank South Carolina government, Ambassador Nikki Haley, and the General Assembly for working the way they did to take the Confederate flag off the place of contemporary respect that it had on the State House grounds, put it in a museum to a place of historic acknowledgement, and we would not be here but for that, how far we've come in a relatively short period of time. So let's not forget to say thank you, because it took valor and courage to do that. So thank you to them as well.
Any other questions? If not, well, thank you all for coming, and certainly I'm sure folks will stick around for a few minutes, answer a few other questions, one-on-ones. So thank you all again for coming.